Now let's take a look at the angle of depression. So we think of the word depressed as not a good thing. Like it can mean that we're low, our mood is low. So when you think of the angle of depression, what I want you to think of is it's an angle formed by a horizontal line and a line of sight looking down at an object. So let's look over here at the diagram. This would be considered the horizontal because here your person is at the top of the lighthouse. And then this is the line of sight. Now what I want you to notice is that the angle of depression is outside the triangle. That's different than the angle of elevation. So right here, this is your angle of depression because it's the angle that's formed from that horizontal line and that line of sight. And notice it's outside of the triangle. That's really quite important. Now, something that I do want to mention is that since we know that we're dealing with two horizontal lines here, these are parallel. And go back for my students, this was like in chapter 3, but what do we know about parallel lines that are cut by a transversal? Hopefully you remember that alternate interior angles are congruent. So I want you to notice that even though the angle of depression is outside the triangle, if you draw in alternate interior angles, you have two angles that are congruent. And it's actually just like the angle of elevation. So that's another way that you can look at it. The angle of depression is going to be congruent to the angle of elevation. So notice like the little man in the boat, his angle of elevation is the same as the person at the lighthouse who's looking down, their angle of depression. So I want you to be able to see it both ways.